I am American Pianists Awards finalist, Dominic Cheli. I'm really passionate about it. Being in LA. I do work with lots of high school students and abroad in the country when I visit cities, and I really like speaking with younger students and getting to know them and trying to share why classical music matters still, I guess. Yeah, that would have been a few years ago, but I did work with Orly Shaham, a wonderful pianist, in her series called Baby Got Bach, and that's primarily for, I would say, more kindergarten and grade school, like maybe younger kids, not quite high school, but still, to share lots of fun music and activities with these kids and have the opportunity for them to have classical music in a very fun and sort of interactive environment was something that appealed to me, certainly. I started playing the piano when I was about 7, so that's when I first that's when I first touched the instrument and was you know developing my fondness for it. I would say that I grew up in St. Louis, and we're lucky to have a very wonderful orchestra, the St. Louis Symphony, and I was lucky to have parents that would take me to concerts, regardless of whether I express an interest or not. And to get exposed to that at a young age was quite impactful. And I just remember, growing up, 10 years old, 11 years old, and then early high school, certain pianists that would come, to solo with the orchestra. That some of them, one that comes to mind is Stephen Huff, was very generous to give master classes to younger students in St. Louis when he was visiting. And I remember that particular occasion was very inspiring to really be able to work with someone one-on-one and then see him perform at the highest level that weekend. So to see that allowed younger people like myself to think that, the classical music world wasn't so far out of reach for someone like us. Like we, could we could also connect to artists like that, and they weren't these like alien beings that were just doing things that we couldn't understand. That drummer is actually my brother. So we basically, my dad was an amateur jazz saxophone player for many years. And growing up, he understood certainly the rigors of music and how difficult it was, and how and he was always interested in taking us to many concerts, jazz and classical alike. So I grew up listening to a lot of jazz, classical, going to lots of concerts, jazz and classical, and for me, classical music did always stick the most. That's what I was always attracted to the most. And but I love jazz, and we had a stint back, many years ago, where my brother, who's still a very accomplished and phenomenal jazz drummer, where me, my brother, and my dad, we would do a sort of trio of saxophone, piano, and drums, and we would play at coffee shops and in different venues, I guess, throughout St. Louis. And yeah, I mean, we kept that up as long as we could, until I guess I went off to college, and then things were a little bit tougher to do. And also, to be honest, someone like my brother who studied jazz drumming, he kept on progressing until he kind of he was at a different level, obviously, in his jazz life than me, or even my dad to some degree. So. But we still jam together every once in a while, and it's certainly fun. Yes, of course I was. I've had a number of friends that have had success at the American Pianists Awards. Have I've definitely followed the videos, the concerts, both jazz and classical. Honestly, I mean, I know 2 years ago the Jazz Awards were happening, and I was following that. Because I had a friend competing, and yeah, I mean, the level is extremely high, so it's quite an honor to be nominated and accepted this year for next year, I guess. And yeah, I absolutely love all the different components to the awards, and I really like seeing, you know, my colleagues, my friends play with quartets, play new music, do the solo recitals, do a chamber orchestra concert rather, and then do a symphony orchestra concert. So um, and the videos are produced very at a very high level, so it's just enjoyable to listen to them, I would say. And Yeah, I mean, it's definitely always been something that I would love to be part of, and I'm just really ecstatic that I am now.